But listen, guys, I've been examining why it is that I love the late '60s and '70s era. I've been examining why I have this weird infatuation with this generation of people. They were a people who figured out everything wrong. They figured out that everything they've been told is a lie. Now, mind you, their parents fought in wars. Their parents fought in World War II. They fought in Korea. They came back to a thriving community, and they didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask any questions about it. They came back, they saw unspeakable things, they boomed their country's industry, and they had a grand old time dancing, buying microwave ovens, hanging out, doing all this stuff. And the American dream seemed to be at its peak at that point. People didn't have any questions. And then all of a sudden, the politicians start getting, they start to get a little ballsy, and they get killed, right? Two of them by the last name of Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, another champion against racism and prejudice, a man who stood for good things. He gets killed, and music starts to be a lot more socially conscious. People start to use their brains. People are doing drugs, the right drugs, the drugs that were given us by the gods, the drugs that were given us to open our minds and show us that not everything is necessary. Not everything that we do must be directed toward a dollar or toward progress or anything like that. The only progress that should be found is progress of self. Man, this generation of kids found this out, and they went crazy. They were protesting. They were willing to die in the streets. People were overdosing on drugs. They were protesting the war. They finally realized that the shit that they have been fed for years and years by their parents was all a lie, and the only reason that their economy boomed after the Second World War is because of the war itself. And now they were thrown into another war, a meaningless war, for the same reason. They were going to use that same blueprint. It was early on. World War I didn't really make a lot of money. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't a big marketing deal. It wasn't a whole lot of money in World War I, and it was still early on. But after they went through the roaring 20s of a whole lot of undirected fun, just straight blatant fun, a depression came about. Now the 30s are ruined. The 30s are fucking destroyed. Everybody's having a terrible time, and nobody's got an answer for it except for the Japanese when they come and they bomb us and drag us into a murderous war where millions and millions of people's lives were destroyed. Towns and cities, major metropolitan areas destroyed. Not here, but everywhere else. Fucking destroyed. So we went ahead and we became the Band-Aid. We fought 2 wars at once. We did phenomenal. We did a great job, and we brought everybody back except for the dead ones. And everyone had a great fucking time, and the economy boomed because of it. The economy is at a record pace now, and everybody can have a job, and everybody can afford housing, and everybody can go to school, and everybody can do everything except for the black people and the other marginalized communities. But all the other white people that they were able to live, and they were able to do all these things and build these communities. They had children who saw through all of that shit, saw through all of it. They said, fuck you guys, we're going to rebel, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're going to live, we're going to have fun, we're going to fuck who we want, when we want, all the time. We're going to ingest what we want. We're going to believe what we want, listen to what we want, listen to all the pop culture figures. They're all using their voice. They're all living in a certain way. Everyone's having a good time, free love, fucking, sucking, drugs, doing whatever you want, having a good time. And that same generation squandered it all and became the boomers. They became the boomers when they found out that there was a life that they needed to live. And after 1971, once cigarette commercials were taken off the television, things started to go south. Things started to, money was realized. The money from the Vietnam War was realized. But the economy grew and everybody grew and everything grew, and they needed a sick son of a bitch at the helm. So where they got Reagan, and Reagan put everybody to work. Reagan's, except for the black people, they put them in an even worse predicament by dropping crack off in their neighborhoods. But anyway, he put everyone to work. He said, we need to grow. We are growing. We are a monstrous empire, and we need to make this better. So work, get to fucking work. And everybody did. They went and they got to work, and they worked and they worked. And now there hasn't been a generation since that has questioned the status quo of all of this until recent. As of recent, we have been doing this, I would like to say, somewhat faithfully, but in a different manner. People are a lot more nihilistic. Me, like a motherfucker. My generation does not believe that we can get out of this situation. I don't know if those people back then could believe that they could get out of the situation, but they had the advantage of being at the beginning of the scam. They were at the beginning of the scam. The country was just realizing that they could make a lot of money by fucking up other countries and building them back, by supplying other countries with weapons and making common enemies. They realized that things were cheaper, life was easier, interest rates were nice and high for people who wanted to make money in their bank accounts and buy bonds and everything. People wanted to do that. Homes were easy to get. Anybody could get a job. All you had to do was work. This was the land of opportunity. You had to work, you had to work, you had to produce. That's when they figured it out. That's when it all went haywire, when everyone conceded to production. Everyone conceded to these new doodads that were being made in the 80s. Wow, look at this. We have microwavable pizzas now. Holy shit, my car goes from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, which I'm assuming in those days were pretty fast. Look at this. This is great. Air conditioning in unit. In your, whatever the fuck the modern day stuff was. Listen to the music. The music's all fun. Nobody's socially conscious anymore. Everyone's having a good time. It's the 80s. It's the 90s. It's the 2000s. Then the crash comes. The crash. Boom. But now we're at a point where we're seeing through the scam. But the scam is too far along. We've all been consumed by it. It is who we are. All we want are new things. We don't mind if we're policed night and day. We don't mind that our information is sold day and night. We don't mind that they have tabs on where we are at all times. All they need is a fucking little black box like this with a screen on it that I can jerk off to anytime I want. We don't mind. We're too late down the line, folks. We're too late down the line. They squandered everything. They squandered it all. Early on in the late 60s, things could have gone better. Things could have changed. And don't get me wrong, the rights of people have gone up. The rights to industry have gone up. But people cannot live. People cannot exist solely because the scam has gotten too big to hide. The scam has gotten too far along. And now there is no way to fight it other than to let it burn out like a candle. Other than to let it flicker out like an oil lamp that is real low. That's all there is left, guys. There's no revolution anymore. There's no more. Think about it. Think about our biggest revolution. It was that embarrassment with that guy with the horns at the fucking insurrection at the Capitol. Nothing happened. They didn't do anything. Nothing was changed other than the fact that everyone knew who that fucking guy was, and now he's in jail, and now he's a fucking bum, and nobody cares about him. All those other people that got pepper sprayed and they fell off the side of the thing while they were climbing up and broke their fucking third vertebrae. Nobody cares about them. Nobody cares. Not enough people cared years and years ago. So if you take from 1971 to 2021, that's 50 years, right? 50 years, this is 2022, we'll say 51 years of a steady flow of a scary news cycle and a promise of gold at the end of the rainbow, as long as you keep working, and a steady flow of terrible food and easy to watch sports and movies and years of controlling the entertainment industry and keeping all of us numb to the idea that we could ever crumble and fall. But it is not true. It is not true, guys. And that is why I love the late 60s and early 70s. And I love seeing a guy who didn't lose his cool, the guy who didn't lose his vision from those days. He still takes acid. He still smokes weed. He doesn't care for his family because they're all sheep. They're all shills. They're all drones. They're all consumerists. They're all things that he never wanted to be. They're all things that he had wished were to be eradicated after that summer of love. And he was wrong, as were the other ones. They were all wrong, and they conformed and became businessmen. And now they're retired, and they drive Corvettes with the top down and their wife with big new titties because they divorced the old one. And then when they die, they can get paraded in Manhattan in a gold casket.